Hi, I'm John with Detroit Go Nano, and you're tuning in to the RPR podcast.
People knew what went on behind the scenes at Disney.
Well, tell us.
It gets pretty wild. We all lived in the same complex.
So you guys have a complex? Like it's a hotel, like an apartment complex?
Vista Way. If anybody's watching and knows where this is, is this safe?
Yeah, no, you're good.
Oh,
Safe
this
space.
is
Safe. So
that's what we promote. This is a safe space.
All right, I'll tell the story the way it is. Mickey had on.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So you have to, they call it maintaining the magic, right? So there are certain rules that you could never break working at Disney, right?
The Disney
again,
code.
anybody who sees this that's worked at Disney,
Yes.
you know. And there's the Disney point. You don't point with one finger, you point with two. There's certain things you couldn't do. If you were showing like the height of something, there's a certain way you had to do it. If you wanted to point in a direction, a certain way you had to do it.
I don't do the most, but I do a lot. I'ma make a toast, cause we still alive. No big, I feel like Pac. I shoot a shot.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Real People and Real Estate podcast, where we talk about the real shit, not about real estate. I'm one of your hosts, Brooke Jones, aka the Millennial Agent.
What's up, guys? It's your girl, Tyra Nicole.
And I am Nicole Pay, and we are so excited to have executive MLO, semi-pro golfer, father and future husband, Mr. David Thomas, also known as DT. So we're going to get into that. But welcome. So excited to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you
We
for
don't
having
really
me.
cheers. We just kind of raise a glass. We'll talk about, we can't get into why we don't cheers, but we raise a glass, do a circle, anything. So welcome. Mortgage Center is the company.
100%.
100%. So tell us how you're affiliated.
Well, I'm an executive mortgage loan officer. I've been in the industry going on a decade now, and I love it. Yeah, it's my passion, for sure.
How did you get into the mortgage industry? Because I don't think anybody really says when they're 5 years old, like, I want to be a loan officer when I
And
get
real
older.
estate,
Yeah, that's a great question. So, interestingly enough, I started off in finance. I did sold cell phones originally, transitioned to doing auto finance, selling cars, and for me, it was just the next logical step. It was, what can I do to stay within that same lane, and it was houses. So that's what brought me here.
Did you have like a passion for that kind of stuff, or did it just fall into place?
A little bit of both, actually. I had a passion for it because I saw what, being able to help people, like, number one, get cell phones, what that did for them, and then being able to get their first cars and things like that, or get their dream car. That was pretty awesome. And now transitioning to help people get their dream homes or vacation homes, or whatever the case may be. It was a passion, but at the same time, I kind of fell into it. So,
When did that happen?
For mortgages, about a decade or so ago, I remember leaving the auto industry, which I was selling cars, working in the finance industry down in Florida. I had a friend of mine that, he was working at Rocket Mortgage at the time, and shot me a text message like 7 o'clock in the morning one day as I was getting ready for work, and asked me if I'd ever thought about, working at Rocket. And at that point I haven't, but, that intrigued me. So I thought about it, like I said, being the next logical step, and put in the application. Rest is history.
I think everybody that starts in the mortgage industry either is at United Wholesale Mortgage or at Rocket, and they hate their life for like the first 2 years, and then they transfer somewhere else.
It's tough.
Is that true? Is that a true story?
Yeah. So I was a new father. I think my oldest daughter was 2 at the time, and I was putting in crazy hours. We were working like 70, 80 hours a week, and it was one of those things where it was, I kept myself in it because I knew I was doing it for her. But then I got really good at it, and it got fun. I'm an athlete, so competition was always there. Being able to see where I stack up against other people, and that's what kind of drove me initially. Then getting to the bag was pretty fun. But it did get to a point where it was just like, all right, I'm putting in a ton of hours. I would love to have some time with the family, so a change was necessary. So we did what we needed to do.
Yeah. So as we mentioned, we don't talk about real estate too
That's
much.
all you get. That's about it.
Yeah. So we like to take it back. We like to take it back
to
to childhood. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your childhood. Like, where did you grow up? Are you from here?
I'm from Inkster, Michigan.
Okay,
Inktown. Stand
Inktown,
up.
Inktown.
Inktown. Yeah,
You went to high
definitely.
school? You might know my husband.
I'm from Inkster. I went to high school a block away from my house at Dearborn Heights, Robichaud.
Okay,
So
All right.
Robichaud.
it was growing up in the neighborhood where like most of my friends went to Inkster High, and then some of my friends went to Robichaud, and those are rivals. If anybody knows
Yeah.
that area,
I was at Annapolis. So.
I know all
yeah,
about
we
that.
used to crush Annapolis and sports.
We ain't talking about that. We ain't gotta go there.
We'll
We
keep
don't
it
go
out.
there.
We'll keep it out.
I just said where I went. Let's keep it.
Yeah, but you know that was it was a pretty cool neighborhood to be in, right?
Yeah.
You know,
Okay.
we had folks that lived in. I had people that lived a block away from me. I grew up playing ball with that. You know, when it came to team sports in high school, you know, I saw them across the line on the field, on the other side of the court, and it was always a good time to be able to talk smack to them. And then,
So you played both basketball and football?
basketball, football, baseball, ran
Oh.
track,
Oh, wow.
played
That's
tennis.
That's crazy. I wish Will was here. You
All-star.
probably know Will and Wendell Pay.
What's his name?
Will and Wendell Pay. William and Wendell Pay. They're
Wendell.
twins. They're twins.
That sounds super
They grew up
familiar.
in Inkster. They went to Inkster High, but they grew up. I wish he was here because you guys probably know each other.
Probably
like grew
cross
up in
paths
Inkster.
and
His
know each
dad
other.
actually. Well, he ended up going to Romulus because his mom lived in Romulus, but his
Yeah.
dad lived off Annapolis and Inkster Road.
Okay.
So-
yeah, chances are I know him. If I
sure.
don't, I know someone who does. So.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So after high school, did you go to college?
Yeah, I went to Western actually.
Oh,
Okay.
nice.
Did you play sports?
I did. I played football.
Okay.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, Western was fun. Western Michigan University is as we call it.
Well, the way you said that, like, I feel like we need to get into
Yeah,
college
tell us
here.
some stories.
Because,
We need
like,
the
there's
tea.
what was Western? What'd you major in?
I majored in communications.
Okay.
Business management as well. Minored in Spanish. And it was a fun time. I actually worked for the university for a long time. I worked for, if anybody knows, like the Upward Bound program, Gear Up College Day program. So I got a chance to work with a lot of middle school and high school students. So that was pretty cool. We got to put together a lot of trips out of town. Took them to like D.C., Maryland, a lot of college trips and things like that. So that was pretty cool to be able to do. But Western was a lot of fun.
Did you live on campus or did you?
I did. I actually lived on campus my freshman year, my sophomore year, and then I left and did an internship at Disney.
that's
I
cool.
did that for a year.
Where did that come from?
Yeah.
They came to campus, presented the opportunity to go, and me and my then girlfriend at the time, we signed up, got into the the program, and went down there to Orlando for a year. Worked at Disney.
That would be fun.
Yeah.
My cousin
Nuts.
actually he worked for Disney. He's not doing it anymore.
Yeah.
But so what did you do with Disney?
I was an operations attractions cast member at MGM. So the place with the big, magical Mickey
Yeah.
hat, if you don't know. But
Yeah.
I worked at Bear in the Big Blue House attraction, and also Voyage of the Little Mermaid. So I know
Wow.
every single Little Mermaid song by heart, honest to God. So
Do you have daughters?
I do. I've got two. Yep, 9 and.
Did you point like Daddy used to do this?
Yeah. We actually got a trip going to Disney coming up soon.
Oh, that's exciting.
So that'll be pretty cool to kind of take them back. I haven't been
Yeah.
back since I worked there, so that'll be pretty cool to kind of bring them back, be able to show them around and things like that.
Because
And,
all the ins and outs.
I do.
So that's a different kind of trip.
It's
You're
a-
not a normal
Yeah.
spectator
Yeah.
kind of trip. That's
It's
a
a-
different kind of trip.
Good and a bad thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
If people
Yeah.
knew what went on behind the scenes at Disney.
Well, tell us.
Let's
Yeah.
talk about
That's
it.
the-
Like, how
Since
was
you
that?
brought it
Yeah.
up.
How was the experience?
I mean, if you think about it, there's a lot of folks that are there that are on what do you call it? The program, right? So you got 18 to 21-year-olds that are, a lot of them their first time away from home, and they're there on like a college internship. They're in Florida with other college students from all over the country,
That's
and
enough said.
it gets pretty wild. We all lived in the same complex. As
So you
far as,
guys have a
apartments.
complex? Like
Yeah.
it's a like a
Oh,
not
yeah.
hotel,
Disney?
like an
Yeah.
apartment complex?
Vista Way, if anybody's
Yeah.
watching and knows where this is, Vista Way, and so there's like 6'2" an apartment, and you all work at like different theme parks and things like that, and so it was kind of I always use the example. It was like being at the Disney internship was like college mixed with like the real world mixed with Girls Gone Wild.
What's your
Really?
craziest story working at Disney?
Man,
Bless you.
Girls Gone Wild.
you really want to know the weirdest story?
Yes, that's
All
what
right.
we're here for.
So I had one of my roommates. I won't say what he did, but he got kicked out of the program. So we had, there were 5 of us at that point. Then they moved a new guy in. He was an Asian guy. He was from Brazil. We called him Wu. He worked at Epcot. And I don't remember what he did, but I know his girlfriend came to the internship with him, and she played Mickey. She was one of the characters. And is this safe?
Yeah, no, you're good.
Oh,
Safe
This
space.
is
Okay.
safe.
So
That's what we promote. This
All
is
right.
a safe space.
All right, I'll tell the story the way it is. So one day I come home, and I worked at MGM. And so I would usually get home pretty late. The park closed at like 9, 10 o'clock. So I got home, I think, around 11 o'clock. And I come in, and 4 of my roommates are just sitting in the living room, and they're all just like wide-eyed. I walk in, nobody says anything. And I'm like, what's up, guys? And they just like shake their head and look to the side. And so my room was in the back of the apartment. So I walk in, I walk to the back, and I kid you not, I walk past the first room, which was Wu's room. He's in there with his girlfriend, and they're getting to it, and she has the Mickey head on.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So
Did they not realize other people were in the room?
no, he didn't care.
They
was the
didn't care.
problem.
But okay,
Wu
but
didn't
wait, the
care.
door was open?
The door
Like-
was open. And
so
Wu
no
didn't
wonder
care.
everyone was sitting in the living room like,
Yeah, and I feel like they just didn't know what to do.
she had the Mickey head on?
She had the Mickey head on. And I kid you not, I walk past the door, and he looks at me and smiles and gives me the thumbs up.
You're lying.
And I kid you not. Yeah, and this guy was he was
Oh
he was the quietest. Like the
Not
guy
that
was not. You could barely get a word out of him. So to come home to that was like a lot.
Did
This
you
was like
just
2
And why
weeks.
you got the thumbs up?
And you got the thumbs up. You just kept, you didn't go back and be like, did no one wanted to warn you? Like, no one thought it was
Nobody.
great to be like, don't go back there.
Nobody.
Like, where's the sock on the door?
Nobody.
Like,
And so, yeah, some of my roommates, if you guys see this thing, you guys know. They know. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're working in the heat in Florida. Like my cousin,
yeah.
it depends on what job you get. Like he was, I think, doing like janitor stuff. So people
Yeah.
throwing up,
They had the worst job.
you have to clean the throw up.
yeah, I'll pass.
the worst job.
Like scoop it. I'm pretty sure scoop it, right?
Yep. They literally walked around the entire day. My costume, they called it your costume, was like white slacks and a red blouse. And you couldn't have facial hair. Anything below the earlobe was, off
So the
limits.
restrictions were like pretty high.
Yeah, they made you shave everything from like the earlobe down. So no, or you could keep a mustache. You had to keep it, manicured
yeah.
or whatever. So, but all of this was gone, and it was.
Did anyone ever like pass out from like heat stroke, or did you
Yeah,
like?
yeah, that happened.
So what happens? What like in that instance? Like, have they like get up, keep going?
So
like,
you have to. They call it maintaining the magic, right?
oh jeez.
So there are certain rules that you could never break working at Disney, right?
The Disney
again,
code.
anybody who sees this that's worked at Disney,
Yes.
right? And there's the Disney point. You don't point with one finger, you point with 2.
Oh.
You got to
What?
maintain the
That's
yeah.
a real thing.
Yeah, because
You
they're
have to
pointing in
do that
certain
too?
cultures, because Disney is the
Right.
biggest attraction internationally. There's certain things you couldn't do if you were showing like the height of something. There's a certain way you had to do it. If you wanted to point in a direction, certain way you had to do it. Right?
Who thinks of this stuff?
The folks upstairs.
They probably, I mean,
Do they
got
have
called
like
out
meetings?
by.
Be like, okay, let's talk about our characters pointing. You
Right.
can't.
Well, they
like,
probably got in trouble, in the past.
Or maybe
somebody
something
was like,
happened.
"That's like disrespectful to my,
Yeah.
culture."
Yeah, people would get offended. It was pretty crazy.
Okay, so were there any nights where you guys were just up partying and then you had to wake up super early the next day and you had to work?
100%. Yeah.
You-
there were
he
nights
said
where we
college?
didn't sleep. Yeah.
Oh,
Girls Gone Wild, and what was the third one?
Yeah, real world.
Oh, the Real World.
Yeah, don't get in the hot tub.
Oh,
Don't
you
get
guys
in the
had
hot
hot
tub.
tubs in your apartment complexes?
Yeah, we had pools, hot tubs, in our apartment complex, basketball courts. I mean, it was pretty.
they're asking for it.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
was.
I felt like they set you guys up.
So
Insane.
okay, hold on. So this was like a whole thing with Disney.
Yeah.
Like they went and recruited college students or whatever to
Yep.
come and work there, and then you guys
100%.
had like an entire like campus.
Yeah,
type
there
of
were
thing?
literally, in our my building, I think had 6 people per apartment, and just in my building there were 40 apartments. And then those, like, of those, like, the complex and the buildings, there were probably like 20 buildings. And that was just one apartment complex, and there were 3. There was Vista Way, and I think the other one was like Chatham, which was for like international students and things like that. And then there was another one I can't remember the name of, but it got wild.
So did you get to pick your roommates, or because you said you went there with your then girlfriend at the time? So where was she? Like,
So
Yeah, how did that?
she lived in the same building. I think it was like 3
Did
floors
you guys
above me.
leave still boyfriend and girlfriend?
Yeah, we did.
oh, you did?
We did. Yeah, it was. Yeah, we did.
She was
I'll
working
leave it
there
at
too.
He did.
Yeah.
Was
I'll
she
leave it at
working there
that.
too?
She did. She was. I think she worked at Magic Kingdom.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Have you guys ever been to Disney?
Oh yeah.
We go
The
every
big
year.
turkey legs.
Oh yeah,
That's
yeah.
where she worked.
The big
I got
turkey
one of
legs.
those.
Why do I know?
Yeah.
Yeah, like the
Oh, like the
medieval.
actual.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's where she worked. Yep. So
So she was 3. She was in the same building, 3 floors
3
above
floors
you.
above me. Yeah.
And what is she's with all girls?
Yeah. All girls.
So how did that work out for you guys?
Well, we
Is that
had different work
complicated?
schedules. We would take weekly Walmart trips together to buy, whatever we needed and,
Yeah.
things like that. But for the most part, I mean, we hung out when we could. The crazy thing about like the Disney internship is that, it kind of using college as the example, right? You go to college, you would ask people like, well, what's your major, right?
Yeah.
They would ask you like, well, what part do you work at? Oh, your operations, are you, maintenance, are you, whatever job that you had, right? And you had your weekend. My weekend was Monday, Tuesday. So I worked basically Wednesday to Sunday. And I had Monday and Tuesday off. And everybody had different weekends, right? So, that's kind of how you figured out who you were going to hang out with. If they had the same days off as you, that's kind of the group that you would
I'm
hang
so
with.
intrigued, like, to think of the structure and the
I
people
never
that go
knew.
into planning this. I would have never known.
It's the
I
same
didn't-
thing with Cedar Point. Cedar Point's the same way.
Yeah, I would
Yeah,
imagine.
my
So
brother
that's
went
like
to Cedar
a whole
Point.
theme park thing.
Yeah.
I
that
would
they
have
do?
never even like comprehended
either.
any of this
Yeah.
at all.
So once you left Disney, did you go into your career right after that?
No, I actually went into selling cell phones. So I left Disney probably, it was January 3rd. I'll never forget. Quick story. So the last day that I worked at Disney was New Year's Eve 2010. New Year's Eve, right before 2010. And that was the longest work day I've ever had. I got to work at 4 in the morning. And I left at midnight the next day. Feet were killing me.
That's a long.
It's insane. Parks were packed. It was, the fireworks.
That's when
Everybody stayed.
we go during that
Everybody does.
Insane. Insane. It took me an hour just to leave the parks.
time. Wow.
Right. And so I got on a plane, 2-3 days later. Got back to Michigan January 3rd. My birthday's January 7th. And
Capricorn.
I am Capricorn.
She goes Capricorn.
Yeah, I am a Capricorn.
We're big on signs and numbers and all that here. We can get
Yeah.
into that after hours.
Yeah. So, I got home, and started looking for work, and went back to Kalamazoo. And if anybody's from Centennial Wireless, West Main and
I
Drake.
remember Centennial.
Yeah. Yep. So I started working there. Ended up being the manager of the store after a little while. It was pretty cool gig to have in college, and that was kind of like the beginning of my career in like the sales and finance
Salesman.
world, and what led to where we're at now.
I feel like working at a cell phone store would be so frustrating.
Oh my gosh.
It's hilarious, actually.
Is it
Can you
really?
imagine how many people come in and they're like, I don't know how to work this damn thing?
Yeah, that
Yeah.
part. Yeah, it was.
I'm sure you
A
get
lot of
that.
But then you have those people, like-
right now.
You have those people at the cell phone place that just love their job, and they're like, "Yeah, let me show you." And
Do
this
they
and
love
that.
their job?
Were
Do
you-
they
were you
really?
like
Is that a true
I don't know.
story? Like,
It's always like that one guy in there that just loves it.
So this was around the time where like the Razor flip phone.
That was my first phone.
Mine was hot pink. I had hot pink
silver,
Razor,
blue,
yeah.
black.
Purple.
Mine was yours.
Mine was
Yeah.
purple.
Mine was hot pink. Yeah.
Wait, what was the one that slid?
That was the blackberry. Wasn't that the
No, no,
blackberry?
I
no.
definitely had a BlackBerry. I had a BlackBerry.
Oh, the sidekick.
Not
That was
the
the
sidekick.
biggest
Oh, yeah, I
piece
remember
of
the
shit
sidekick.
ever. The sidekick was like, do you know how many times that thing broke as you're flipping?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were selling like wireless cards for laptops. Like it was at that point, and
Wireless cards for laptops.
Yeah, I don't even know what
like
that is.
doesn't even exist
What
anymore.
is that?
Like you would buy like a
trying to
card
figure
that you would
that out.
plug into your
Right.
laptop that would give you Wi-Fi.
Oh my god. There's no Bluetooth.
I might be dating myself a little bit here.
Well, no, because I think I'm the oldest one here, and I have no clue what that is.
Never heard
yeah,
of it.
that was a thing.
That was
For
a
sure.
thing. It must have been before my time.
Yeah.
So what made you get out of the cell phone business?
So they got bought out by Sprint, and and that was kind of like the end of that career for me. I could have stayed on with them, but I was just like, I did everything I could in this industry. If I could have stayed on, they would have, or if I would have stayed on, they would have kind of, taken me out of my position. I was like, let's find something else to do. All right. And so I did that for a little while. I left, went back to the east side of the state, and worked at Home Depot for like 6 months. Most stressful job I've ever had.
Really?
The garden department. If anybody's ever seen this, you just
you
laughing like
worked
she
there?
knows.
Yes.
Yeah, the garden department.
I love Home Depot.
Hauling like 60-pound bags of mulch and topsoil.
Oh no.
And concrete
That's like
blocks
my
and
favorite
papers.
store ever.
Man,
Yeah, not to
it
work
sucked.
at.
Not to work, probably.
Yeah.
It sucked. And you're doing it all like outside in the heat.
In the heat. But how is that any different? I mean, you weren't hauling stuff, but you're in the heat in Florida, which is crazy different heat in a costume. So
But I get to like mess with people's kids and stuff and get away with it. So that was the trade.
the trade off.
When I went
And it was
inside
fun.
for the two attractions that I worked in, it was like all AC. So stayed outside for a little bit, go inside for the AC, but that garden department stuff at Home Depot.
They
Yeah,
need to
birds,
pay
for the
their
birds.
people more.
Yeah.
So
for
you
the
quit
birds
that
for sure.
after like a couple months?
Yeah, I quit there. I started working at AAA at the
Okay.
headquarters in
AAA,
Dearborn.
okay.
I had an aunt that worked there. She was high up, got me in. Thank God. Appreciate you, auntie. Got me on my way. And then I left that. I got into logistics. And I was working with like truck drivers and different things like that, doing like oversized, over dimension, produce, all that good stuff. Crab Legs is a money maker.
Okay.
Crab legs.
I made a ton of money moving trucks full of crab legs, believe it or not.
I bet.
I could
pretty
see. I could see that.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
but that was a lot of babysitting truck drivers. And then I left there and, found my way to Rocket. So, yeah, it was
So
pretty
how
cool.
did that come about?
I got a text message from one of my friends. It was like, hey, you ever thought about working at Rocket? I think you would kill it. I was like, yeah. And I was actually up in the air on whether or not I was going to move back to Florida at that time, too.
Okay.
So I was like, I guess if I stay in Michigan, the only place that I would want to work is Rocket. So let's see what it's about. Applied, they got me in there, hit the ground running. And like I said, at the time I got, my daughter who's like 1.5, 2 years old. And I'm like, all right, I got to make this work, And I did. Stayed around for a long time, made my way up. And I was on, a specialty team where, we got to pilot a lot of different programs. We were crushing it. Got to the bag. It was a good time to be in banking. So
Okay.
Okay, so in your career of banking, what is the craziest story that you have?
in banking, wow.
Or I mean,
Or
just in
even
mortgages
mortgages in general. We always find
Craziest
it to be fun.
story. That's a good one.
Not
I
as
would
good as
say-
Disney, huh?
I got a crazy story
I
about
know,
selling
like,
cars.
is it
but-
comparable to Disney?
Okay, do the
Oh
selling
yeah, you can
cards.
sell,
then.
selling cards.
All right,
We just
so-
like to hear crazy stories.
Yeah, so this this was one where brand new selling cars. We're sitting outside. All the car salesmen were just hanging out against the front of the dealerships, like 100 degrees outside in Florida. And this old rusty Ford Explorer pulls in. It's just two older
No
people,
offense to
older
Ford
couple.
Explorers.
Yeah, Ford Explorers. Shout out to Ford Explorers. But everybody like prejudged them. They're like, oh, they're not buying a car. These guys don't have any money. Yada yada yada. I'm like, all right, cool. Well, I'm gonna go get the experience either way. Turns out this guy owns a farm. Billionaire guy. And so I'm talking to him, and I'm out there. They never get out of the car, and they're driving around the lot. And that's like a sign in the car industry where, like, you know, these people aren't serious. But I'm talking to him, and she's like, I already got the car picked out. Here's the stock number. I know which one I want to buy. And I'm like, all right, this is great. I'm going to sell my first car. It's literally my first opportunity to sell a car. And I kid you not, the husband and wife start arguing. And I'm like, you know, I'm trying to kind of move things along. And out of nowhere, well, the husband and wife, the husband's like, well, just, you know, come on, let's just pick the car. You know, she's like, no, we got to go. Like, I got to, you know, she turns to me, young man, I got to use the bathroom. I'm like, all right, well, I'll bring you inside the dealership, you know. I'll show you where it's at. You know, she's like, no, I gotta go. Like, she's like, the husband's name was Bud. She's like, Bud, we gotta go. I gotta go home.
I still remember the name.
Yeah, it must have been that
His
tragic.
name was Bud. Yeah, you know, you're about to find out. So, so she's yelling at him. He's yelling back. She's like, well, won't you just, the kid's already out here. He's trying to give you the car and da-da. And so she turns to me, and I'll never forget this. She says, can I swear?
Of course.
She says, young man, I got Crohn's disease. I just shitted on myself. We gotta go home because I gotta go change. And I'm like, okay.
She said it just like that.
Just like that. And I'm like, you know, and then mind you, all the other guys at the dealership are like, you know, they're like, you're never gonna sell them a car, you know. So they pull off, and the husband's like, I promise you, we're coming back. You know, like we'll do the deal, we're coming back. So, you know, they leave. I walk back over to the other guys, and they're like, see, I told you, you know, you weren't going to sell them a car. And I'm like, you know, my sales manager's like, what happened? I was like, well, the lady shitted on herself and they had to leave. And they think that they thought that I was lying. You know, I was dead serious. So, you know, probably maybe 4 hours later, right? The guy, they come, you know, she's driving, they come back in the parking lot. He's hanging out the window. He sees me. He's like, you, come on, let's do this thing. Let's get it going. So I sell him the car. She picks out the stock number. It's like a Jetta. I never forget. It was a Volkswagen dealership. A wine-colored Jetta SE. That's the car that she bought. And, you know, everything goes smooth. They leave. Actually, they lived on a golf course, so I had to drive the car to them because they were trading in the car that they didn't bring. Yeah. So I drove like their trade-in back. It was like a long thing. It took like 4.5 hours. And that was my first car that I sold. Like, you know, at the dealership, they were congratulating me, this, that, and the third. Next morning, 7 o'clock, I'm getting ready for work. I get a phone call. It's her. And she is cussing me out.
What?
You sold me the wrong car, you MFer, you just going off on me. And I'm like, oh, what do you mean? Like, oh, it was the one you wanted. Like, she's just going off on me. And I'm taking this car back, and you know, going crazy. And so, like, I hang up with her, and I call my sales manager. I'm like, hey, this is like, what's happening? She's cussing me out, saying I sold her the wrong car. They come back in, end up switching her out for like a higher trim level or whatever. And, you know, my sales manager was like, you know, they're coming back in, just when they get here, just disappear. I don't even want her to see you, you know, just leave, right? And so they gave her the, you know, upgraded car, same price, whatever. And I guess everything worked out. They were happy.
Thank God.
Right? So fast forward 6 months later, you know, I got my feet under me. I'm a pro at this point. I'm killing it at the dealership. She pops up in my follow-up. Like, you know, just call her. I'm like, you know, it's crazy. It's the first lady I sold the car to. Let me see how she's doing. I call her and I ask her, like, hey, how's the car doing? And she's like, I have no idea what you're talking about. What car? And I'm like, you know,
what?
The car that I sold, like the Volkswagen. And she's like, no, I'm not interested. Hangs up on me. I call her back and she's like, you know, no, I don't. I'm like, no, I already sold you the car. You know, I'm just trying to see how the car's doing. She was like, oh, yeah, we haven't driven it one time. And it's just sitting in the driveway. And that was the story of the first car I ever sold. So
They haven't driven it one time.
And she complained that
complained that much.
about.
But you said they were like billionaires or something?
Yeah, I guess they were. They owned a farm and they were extremely well off. Like when they filled out their paperwork and, you know, a guy put down like how much he made, it was just like,
Oh, okay.
okay.
And they were driving that Ford Explorer.
Ford Explorer. And the guy told me after the fact, he's like, you know, I'm not going to, you know, show up to the dealership and, you know, my best and my brightest and, you know, for you guys to kind of judge me. I wanted to see who was going to work with me when they thought I didn't,
That's smart.
you know, have anything. And it was me. So.
Crohn's disease is no joke. My oldest has Crohn's. And it's really like no joke. So she probably actually did.
She did for sure. Like, you know,
Not
she
gonna
looked me dead in the eye and told me. And I was just like, I don't know what that is, but all right, cool.
Yeah. It's no fun.
I'm just curious to why they bought that car.
Yeah, if they didn't,
Like,
if they weren't going to drive it.
just to sit.
I am
Probably just
too.
to make her
And I wish I
happy.
knew the answer to that question to this day. Yep.
Wow.
That's
Well,
crazy.
that was interesting.
Yeah, that's a very interesting story. So, in the interim, wrapping it up because we have hit our time limit. You have a partnership with Real Producers Detroit.
Yep.
And can you just talk to us a little bit about what that partnership is like and what it has done for you?
It's awesome, actually. It gives us the opportunity to, kind of not only know who are the folks that are the movers and shakers when it comes to, the real estate agents in the area, but to be able to connect with those folks and, for whatever, what we provide from a lending standpoint, give value. It also puts us in a position where, we can kind of lean on them for information. You know what I mean? And I think that is a two-way street. I've been able to kind of get some feedback from the agent side on, what they would like to see from us, which is pretty cool because we're always looking for that perspective. And then it just puts us in, with the events and whatnot, in circles where we get to talk with the folks that are making things happen, whether it's real estate agents, title companies, vendors, things like that. So it's been pretty cool so far.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So we like to end with one final question.
So my question is, and lately it's like people don't know the answer to this question. I don't know why, but
Yeah.
what's something that no one knows about you?
That I'm a world-class ping pong player.
So
Ping
wait,
pong.
semi-pro
Oh.
Table
golf
tennis.
player
I
and
used
table
to
tennis.
like ping pong.
Yeah.
We added all
I
the
used to
how many,
like
how
that
many more
game.
accolades have we got on there?
But I didn't know it was
Listen,
still a
how
thing.
much time do we have?
It's a thing. I mean, so okay, we didn't even get into semi-pro golf.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, we
a
didn't.
world-class ping pong.
Yes.
Did you go to like the
Grew up playing
like
tournaments.
the tournaments? Do they have
So-
tournaments?
The things.
Long story short, my aunt bought a table. I got a lot of cousins, big family, and we got a table when I was probably 12. And I've got a younger brother, and I've got 100 cousins. We're all around the same age, or a bunch of us are, and we all just took to table tennis, ping pong, and so we would play, and being athletes for the most part, most of us. It got pretty
I
competitive.
was just
Intense.
gonna say that. I
Yeah.
could only imagine what it's like when
Yeah.
y'all
I used to
get
like
together.
ping pong though.
I have
a
no
table
idea
in
how
my
to play
basement.
it. You do?
Yeah,
Do
Yeah,
your
I've
kids
got
play?
thing.
several. Yeah, my
You
kids do
do
play.
play. Your
That
kids
was
play?
fun.
Yep, I got several paddles. I've got paddles I could get into it. I won't. I'll keep it short,
I
but
can't even
yeah,
imagine your future wife and you. Like you probably.
I taught her how to play.
I would say that would be
Yeah.
in my house. That'd be competitive.
That game is
shit
so
right there.
frustrating.
We settle beefs over
I
it.
don't even
like
know.
it.
It takes so much hand-eye coordination, and then when you lose, they want to like flick the ball at your back or whatever. They want to.
Oh, he's all doing the motions.
So do you like the air hockey game too? Because it's kind of similar. a
Yeah,
little
I like air hockey.
Yeah.
I mean, I play anything. I'm a competitor at the core, so anything that I can compete in, sign me up.
There you go.
All right. Well,
All
there's
right.
that.
Well, we appreciate you coming on the
Yeah.
Thanks
podcast
for
and
having me.
sharing all
Thank
your
you.
stories. Stay tuned, guys, for our next guest. We got another one of the guys from.
Mortgage Center. We're not
Mortgage
sure
Center.
which is our next victim. They're over
Yeah.
there. Are you? Are you
They're going to be able to choose.
Who's next?
so-
Who's that? Are you gonna paper wrap
Tune in for the next
Rock, paper,
episode.
scissors.
We'll see you guys very soon.
Right? Yeah.
Peace.
Rock, paper,
I hope
2
we
out
got
of
that
3.
on camera.
Tyra, do you want to press the red button real quick?
Do it.
The red button real quick.
Going?
Yeah.